Hey, this video is the difference between atheism and agnosticism. I am doing this because I got a comment a couple days ago. Somebody writes on my What I Think About New Age page and says, you sound stupid when you say atheism is a religion. My contention is that atheism is a religion. And it's agnosticism that is not the religion. Now, I've had a lot of atheists tell me this, that, oh no, atheism is not a religion. Well, and none of these people have even tried to explain the difference between atheism and agnosticism, because they don't know. I understand why they get pissed, because they think they're like the anti-religion, but they're not. They're just they're the anti-established religion of Christianity, Judeo-Christianity, who believe in God. And if you ask these atheists why they're atheists, they'll go, oh, but the Christianities are so stupid because they go into all the stupidity of Christianity. And so it's a backlash against that. But the definition, I haven't looked up the definition of any of these. I'm just talking out of my own logic. But the definition of a religion is a group of people who decide that they all believe in something. A religion is a belief, is a set of beliefs, what you believe about life and the afterlife and God and your soul and all that stuff. And so under that context, atheism is a religion, because they believe that there's no soul, that there's no reincarnation, that there's no God, that the universe isn't alive, that you're gone forever when you die. They believe that. It's not that they don't know, because one atheist said to me on one of my videos, oh, but atheism is where you don't believe in God because you think there's a lack of evidence for it. That's agnosticism. Agnostics don't believe in God, but they don't believe that there's no God either. They don't believe in the soul, but they don't believe that there's no soul. They don't know what they believe, and they don't want to talk about it. They just want to live their lives. That's what an agnostic is. An atheist believes, knows that there is no God and that there is no soul, and it causes problems. And that's why I have problems with atheists. Atheism is the worst religion in the world. It's worse than fundamental Christianity, because you can't talk to an atheist. Well, I guess you could, but they're not as bad as they're worse than the fundamentalists. You can at least talk to a fundamentalist Christian or a Muslim about stuff. Atheists just tell you. No, but the problem is America, we're supposed to separate church and state. But because atheists don't have their own church, they're a parasite religion, and they latch on to the state. So it's the atheists' fault that we're not separating church and state. Fundamentalist Christians can, I guess, get in there sometimes when they, say that, I guess, abortion should be illegal because the fetus will go to hell or something. But the atheists would be just as guilty of making abortion illegal by saying that you're killing a person and, that person will never get to live or something, because they don't believe in the soul. So, but it causes problems because their religion gets in the way of science. The scientists these days are too many of them are atheists. And actually, I do have on my website, I have a religious statistics that scientists, the more highly educated you are, because the way that our educational system is set up and with higher education, the less you believe in God. And that's proof right there that the religion of atheism is involved too much. And it causes problems. It kills science. It makes science less quality. It makes it biased. I was listening to Stephen Hawking on the TED conference, and I couldn't believe it when he said, in his voice, the only people who believe in aliens and spirits are quacks. I was like, what? Quacks and weirdos. The only people who believe in aliens and spirits are quacks and weirdos? This guy, he may be good at math, and maybe he made a good history book about science, but he has not done his homework, which makes him not a scientist, not a good scientist. You know, but he's the grand master. He's the grand priest of their religion. You know, they go and they spend $300,000 of taxpayers' money to make him drop out of the sky to feel what it's like to be weightless. You know, and he doesn't do his homework, because if you do, if see, that's where agnostics are cool, because you can actually have a conversation with an agnostic about science. And he won't say, oh, but there's no evidence to that, and oh, that's not a real, that never happened, you know, and just go loop-de-doop-de around with you. If this guy, Stephen Hawking, had have done his homework, he would know that the evidence supports aliens and spirits and all that stuff. It's just talk to 400 people who work in the government and half the people in the world who see this stuff, and you know, and how about all the ghost shows you see, and another thing is they're actually scientific experiments. Like, I knew about the uncertainty principle back when I was an early teen, because my parents were telling me, oh yeah, it turns out the electron's alive, you know, it changes the way it acts depending on where you're looking at it or not, you know, but that's all I knew about that, but I never learned anything about that in my science class. And that should be the first, and you know, anyways, yeah, my science class, the last one I had was in 9th grade, which is a whole travesty in itself, because I had to take these stupid math classes after. But anyways, that would be the first thing that I teach in a science class, because it's the most fascinating, and it's the stuff you can't answer. But you know, the atheists, they can't answer something, it disproves their belief that there's nothing out there, that they just don't include it in your curriculum. So I never learned anything about the uncertainty experiment in principle, you know, the double slit experiment. And now we have non-locality experiments, you know, where you take blood out of somebody, you bring your blood 3,000 miles away, and you stress out in your blood. The DNA in your blood shrivels up, and then you become happy, and the DNA in your blood automatically, at that exact moment with timed watches, opens up. And you can't explain that. You'd have to open up a whole new, you know, can of worms with that. But that's not, well, I don't know, because I'm not in school, but I'm sure that's not being taught in school. I will say, though, that one of my textbooks had a little blurb, little corner in the paper, a page about the Bermuda Triangle. I thought that was kind of cool. But anyways, that's where atheism gets in the way of science. There's I saw this show by Carl Sagan where he explains, you know, Copernicus and Kepler and these guys, and it was really interesting. But it seemed like a good bit of the first part of the video was him totally trashing astrology. But astrology has its own set of scientific proofs as well. It's like if you, depending on where certain planets are in the sky, certain compounds and elements like freeze at slower rates when it's aligned and stuff. Those elements that correspond to that planet. So anyways, that's where atheism gets in the way of science. They just pick and they choose, and they'll tell you, oh, there's no evidence. It's like somebody telling you that there's no evidence that there's aliens here. Well, there's no evidence to them because their eyes are closed, because their religion, it's like against their religion to believe that. So atheism needs to just go away, completely go away. And they need to become agnostics and just say, okay, I don't know then. Instead of being, because, well, and I have other videos where I explain the problems with atheism, but my big video about this is the difference between atheism and agnosticism, and it's that the atheists believe, they know, they tell you that they believe that there's no God and there's no soul, and the agnostics don't know what they believe, or don't believe either way. Now, if you think I'm wrong, then define an agnostic. Tell me the difference between an atheist and an agnostic, because no atheist has done that, and I don't think any atheist could. I'm pretty much out of time, but I was going to say something else, but I cannot remember it. So, yes, that's the difference between the atheists and the agnostics.